Hello everybody and welcome to episode number 5 of the Let's Learn Master of Puppets guitar series. Today we will be covering every single note, every single time change, every single chord progression, and a full detailed musical analysis of Disposable Heroes by Metallica. Let's get it. Now, what exactly are we talking about when we utter the words disposable heroes? Well, two things come to mind. Number one is a characterization of a man being sent to the front lines by a psychopathic leader during a brutal war, being cast off into the battlefield to die at the behest of the various weapons manufacturers and multinational corporations who profit off of human death and misery. Now, these lyrics were written in the 1980s, so prior to that, only men could participate in such a valiant cause. But fast forward to 2023, women, transgenders, even furries can now all be disposable heroes in the pursuit of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Number two is a lesser known meaning behind the song, which involves James Hetfield's entire toy soldier collection being thrown right into the trash by his own mother. A sad day indeed, and equally as heavy as the first scenario. Alright, that's enough speculation. Let's get into the first riff that comes in right out of the gate. This introduction deals with a series of eighth note chugs and moving power chords within the key of E minor. We begin with a 6/4 time signature, so that's 6 beats for every single measure that we're playing. And we go with 6 open palm mutes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or better, 1 and 2 and 3 end. Now to do a palm mute, you have to take the edge of your palm right here as if you're fisting your face, and then come down onto the string until at the edge of the bridge, you start to hear that muted sound. This is unmuted, and that is muted. After the 6 chugs, we come in with some moving power chords like this. So, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And now that's the rhythm for everything. The chords are F sharp, G to F sharp, which is the 2, the flat third, back to the 2. Then we have G, A, F sharp, which is flat third, fourth, and 2. Now on that last measure, that high octave E, you want to make sure you're hitting that on the and of 5, just like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and. That goes around 2 total times, so let's play that and count it out slowly. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and. After that second time around, we introduce a wah guitar on top of the same riff for our first Hetfield-Hammett split. This guitar comes in at a higher octave, but still outlines the same exact chords as the rhythm guitar. We're coming in on the D and the G string, sliding into the 9th fret of each. We're going to use our ring and our pinky to do that, like this. 1 and 2 and 3. It's the same exact rhythm. After that, we follow that with the 11th fret, 12th, and 11th. That's for the F sharp, G, and F sharp. Come back around and do the same 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. And after that we go 12, 14, 11. Okay, so one more time on that. Easy enough. And we come back to the front to hit the 9th fret again. Same 11, 12, and then this time we have to do the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and you're going to hit that accent on the upbeat of 5 at the 12th fret of the D and the G, alright? So everything is just like that, no problem. Same rhythm, same notes, same everything. So let's hit that slow. All the same rhythms once again. Here we go, ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1 and 2 and 3. This is the repeat. We're getting ready to go. Get our heads blown off. This last time, stay on the 9th fret and hold it out until the next section comes in. And that next section is set up by a cool reverse cymbal swell effect, followed by this riff. This riff acts as a premonition to the verse riff that we'll hear later, but we just remain static on the low E. We're in halftime as well. There's not much to say about the notes in this section because it's just on a static E, so we're going to primarily talk about the rhythm here. Now we're in halftime, so our count is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're dealing with a series of 16th notes and 32nd notes. Because the tempo is so slow, the 32nd notes are actually manageable. So here's how it's played. Or 1 and a 1 and 2 and 2 and a 3 and a 3 and 4 and 4 and a 1 and a 1 and 2 and 2 and a 3 and a 3 and 4 and 4 and. Kind of hard to do, a little bit of a tongue twister if you're saying and playing it, but that's the exact rhythm as it moves through. At full speed, it's like this: 1 and 1 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 3 and 4 and 1. So just like I said before, this riff goes through 32 times total with the same articulation, the same exact accuracy, and the same speed. So you have to go through this 32 times in a row without skipping a beat. Now, this is one of the hardest sections to get through in Disposable Heroes because of that fact. Because you have to play that so many times at the same exact accuracy. By the 17th or 18th time, your forearm's going to feel like it's about to fall out of your damn hand or fall out of your damn arm, because that's exactly what's happening. Your forearm's going to be screaming bloody murder the entire time. It's going to be wondering, why is my host abusing me so much during this? And I think James Hetfield's forearm has done the same thing over the years. So now that we know that 32 times is a magic number, let's take a look at how this progresses, how it builds up. We have 4 times with just the rhythm guitar and the hi-hat. The next 4 times is joined in by Lars's powerful snare drum hits and Cliff Burton's bass hits. Cliff plays that hard downbeat on 1 and then picks up into 3 and 1, 3 and 1 as it goes on. So it sounds like this. Boom, 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 boom. And that just keeps on going until he progresses to join everybody else with the riff itself. That configuration of the halftime drums and the guitar and bass unison goes on for another 8 times before finally being joined in by another wah overdub. This wah lead serves a dual purpose. The first of which is to set up the chorus progression that we're going to hear a little bit later. It's a little bit different though. The second purpose is to break up the monotony from just playing the same note over and over and over again. We need to play higher octave power chords to set up the vibe of this section. So we're going to come up to a G, which is at the 10th fret of the A string, a 3-string power chord at 10, 12, 12. And that's the first one. You let it ring, come up to A, which is at the 12th fret, down to F sharp, which is on the 9th, back up to A again, down to F, and then G, which is the first one, down to the E on the 7th fret, okay? Now we really get to bask in that dissonance if we play the open E on the bottom. Remember, there's an E chug going through the entire thing, so check this out, ready? That's the G over an E, pretty nice. F sharp over an E, pretty nice. F over an E, pretty nice. Sounds pretty crunchy. And it comes around to repeat again. So this G is basically creating an E minor 7. This is an F sharp 7. Could be a minor perhaps because we're going into the A. So F sharp minor 7 in 3rd inversion because of that low E on the bottom. That's the flatted 7th. And then this, the F, is the same deal, but it's an F major 7 in third inversion. That's a pretty nasty dissonant sound if you ask me. Wow, listen to that. Imagine playing that for your parents during Thanksgiving dinner. They're not going to be too happy with you now, are they? This section uses much longer note values in contrast to what we heard earlier in the song. It also helps to build up a little more suspense as we're moving through the battlefield, so I kind of like that. Now after going through 2 times, we head into Thrash Town with this double time riff. Check it out. This thrashy section modulates hard into what looks like the key of C sharp, but there's a little bit more to it than that. Let's take a look at the riff itself before examining the key center. We have to slide in from the first fret of the previous riff, okay? So we're going to be going like this. 1, into that C sharp power chord. Now, the C sharp power chord is now followed by a series of 16th notes, all right? The first one's an 8th note, the rest of them are 16ths blasting all the way through. 1 and 2 and. And then on the third beat, we got to do a pull off from the 5th fret down to the 4th. You can use your middle finger for that, going from middle to pointer, nice and dissonant. Ready? Here we go. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a boom. Okay, let me do that slow. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. Now that half step above the root, the D natural, which is also the pull off note, very nice and dissonant there. I love that dissonance. It creates a C sharp Phrygian mode. Now all that means is that we have a C sharp minor scale, but we're flatting the second scale degree. So instead we have that D natural on the bottom. If you want to learn modes, always focus on the note that changes between each key. Pretty damn dissonant. Now, that's not the entire story with this, because after you play that C sharp rhythm 6 times, we come in with this riff. That whole thing starts off with an open A palm mute, okay? So we're coming from C sharp down to A. That's a major third motion. Then we're immediately hitting a pull off from the 5th to the 4th fret on the D string. Now that's a G natural and an F sharp. That's not in the key of C sharp minor. I don't like where this is going already. Well, let's keep going through the riff. We then palm mute again on the A string, and then go like this. 4th, and then palm down the 7th, 5th, and 4th of the A string, okay? So we're actually resolving down the A Mixolydian scale. Now the A Mixolydian scale is just an A major scale with a flatted 7th. Flat 7, boom. Now that doesn't stop either. With these power chords that follow afterward, the triplets, G, F sharp, E, D, C sharp, B. You want to palm mute each one of those except for the very last one. Once again, mute, 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 mute. Don't mute that or else I'm going to send you to the battlefield to die. Now those notes all occur within A Mixolydian as well. Look, G natural, that's the flatted 7th. F sharp, that's the natural 6th. E, which is the 5th. D is the 4th. C sharp's the 3rd. B is the 2nd. Now that final B chord that I just played, and I just played again, modulates back into the key of E minor, okay? So that's the 5 or the dominant function coming back into E minor. So a really smooth way of coming from C sharp. So that connects these chords together. Another thing that connects them as well is during the A lick, we have that G natural on the top. That's the flatted 7th for the Mixolydian. Well, it's also the flatted 3rd of the E minor, linking those two keys together very, very, very nicely. So that's one way that we can get from a key like C sharp, which is way further in the stratosphere, back into the key of E minor. Now, none of this labeling and understanding of the modes is truly necessary when learning a Metallica song. I mean, come on, it's Metallica. They're just a bunch of cool guys playing guitars, playing some riffs, and getting into the zone. But it does show how intuitive the band members were and how well written these songs are. So, with that said, let's get into the verse setup riff, which is the same old E chugs that we heard earlier in the song. The only real difference here is the feel. Instead of using 16th and 32nd notes with a half-time groove, we're using 8th and 16th notes with a regular time groove, accenting hard with the snare drum on beats 2 and 4. Boom, da, boom, da, boom, da, boom, da. After we play that 8 times, we head into the verse section, verse 1 of Disposable Heroes. This verse part uses the same rhythmic figure and 4 different single notes to get through the entire progression. Now they're all single notes, but there is an implied chord progression involved. We start off with an E as the 1, then we hit that G, which is the flatted 3rd. Now this could be considered an inverted E minor chord like this, which sounds pretty cool, or just a regular old G chord, which would be the flatted 3rd. So it's either 2 different forms of the 1 chord or a flatted 3rd entirely. Then we hit that F sharp and things get a little more complicated because it's not entirely clear what's going on there, okay? Because the F sharp could mean a half diminished chord, which I don't think that's what it is. It could mean an inverted 5 chord, which very well could be the meaning there. Or it could just be an F sharp power chord. Who knows? But doesn't really matter so much, it's just Metallica here. So, come around the second time, and then we have to hit the B chord, which is definitely the 5 chord, the dominant function. Absolutely necessary to know that. Now, a little reminder on the final ending, we go back to E right after the F sharp again. So we go like this, E, E, G, F sharp, and then this last time, hang on it, 4 times. Boom. Slide. After verse 1, we head into pre-chorus 1, which definitely solidifies how worthless we actually are in the eyes of the military-industrial complex. This riff is based on the same idea as earlier, but with some not-so-subtle changes thrown into the mix. The first not-so-subtle difference is that there's a chord change thrown in at the very ending of each phrase. So we start off like this, C sharp, play it 3 times. We go down to a B, and we play the exact same thing. Down a whole step. The same pull-off section and all, right? We have the D going to C sharp. This time we have a C going to B. The same exact Phrygian motion that I talked about before. The second not-so-subtle change is in the timing. This pre-chorus section is made up of 2 measures of 4, followed by 2 measures of 3. Okay, so we have an odd time going on here. 2 measures of 4, 2 measures of 3 to make up the whole phrase. Here we go, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. See that time change? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that goes on to repeat 2 more times. Now, an easier way to remember this is every single time the pull-off happens, that's on beat 3. So as soon as you do that pull-off, it's time to move. Let me show you what I mean. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, pull, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, pull. See how you skip the beat? 1, 2, skip, 1, 2, skip, And it's crucial that you get this timing down because it does follow a very tight rhythm during this section. That 4 and 3 is very, very on the money. And it's another one of those moments where Metallica pretends to be a prog band. You frickin' posers. The changes in the complexity don't stop there, however. We have to take that entire progression we just played and shift it down a whole step down to a B position. All the same notes, all the same timing and everything, but we're in this 2nd fret position. Check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now let me take a moment to talk about that A chord. I'm actually shifting my pinky down to play that, okay? So instead of playing it with my middle finger here, just use your pinky because you can slide it right back up to the original position. And this is going to be moving so fast that you're going to want to do that. So you can use your pointer finger still to pull off from the B flat. And once again, these notes are exactly the same. You got a C going to a B, which is the flatted 2, Phrygian. And then we have a B flat going to an A. All the same thing. So let me play all that one more time. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is also a completely instrumental break, so to spice things up, Kirk Hammett puts this octave lick on top of the original riff. This instrumental break reminds me heavily of the harmony guitar part in Fight Fire with Fire. This one. Remember that? But this time we have less notes involved. The same vibe, but less notes. That's kind of cool how you can do that. We're also still in the Phrygian mode as well. Now simultaneously, this also reminds me of some kind of alien space laser attack, where the UFO comes up to the window and the laser beam is pointed right through the glass right to the center of my forehead, calcifying my pineal gland into ancient Babylon, and there's nothing that I can do about it. Now that's a bit of a contrast between the traditional forms of warfare that you might use your tanks and your bombs and your bombs and your bombs. Alright, I think I gotta calm down a little bit. Let's get into the riffs here. So we start off with the lower octave, which is on the 4th fret of the G string, the note B. Alright, and that's our root note, our root position here. So we'll write this. Couple little things we gotta go over there. Alright, first of which is the hammer-on and pull-off lick that goes from the 4th to the 5th fret on the G string, back down, well not back down, but down to the 7th fret of the D. Alright, so that's the B, C, B, A. That's basically a 1, flat 2, Phrygian, 1 and flat 7th, which is the dominant function of that. Now, this changes function when we get to the last part, right? Because we're doing this different thing, this sort of fluttery storm of BBs. Alright, now you want to make sure you follow the 3-4 rhythm in that exact thing. So we have 2 of these, that's 2 5-4s going down, and then 1 of each of these. That's that alien space laser thing I was talking about. Right? Or it's more like a 1980s arcade machine, whichever one sounds better to you. So once we hit that, the chord function changes because we're on an A minor this time instead. Look, flat 3rd, and then a 9th and a flat 9th, a flat 9 to a 1, and a 1 and a major 7th. Now, I'm not going to get too wrapped up in that. It's just a bunch of chromatic notes that sound cool together. Alien space laser invasion on your calcified pineal gland. All the same notes repeat an octave higher, so we got to shoot up 12 frets to the next octave, which is on the 16th fret of the G, and we continue to do this. 19. Then, now those frets are 16, 17, 16, 19. Same exact function, and you do it the same amount of times as well. And also remember, you got to cut off that final beat on the 3-4 measure. Both of them really, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, boom. Alright, and all 16th notes on that last part. In the same speed that this is going. Alright, so keep that in mind. James Hetfield's right hand is also Kirk's left hand on this. Pretty cool. And you got to do all the legato as well, so 1 pick will suffice. Pretty cool. I keep saying pretty cool, and I'm going to say pretty cool again. But you know what's not pretty cool? If you don't get this rhythm right, the alien invaders from up above are going to probe your backside with an intergalactic spatula. I don't think anybody wants that. So we've successfully skirted the plutonic spatula from the galaxy of the Green Boys. But before we get into the next part, we have a little transition that takes us into the chorus section. Now here's the entire transition. We come out of that A Phrygian pull-off into that little triplet rhythm, okay? So we're going B, B flat, B, C, B. Palm muting the first 3, alright? So that's 2nd fret, 1st fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, and then into this rhythm on the E. Alright, we definitely recognize that, of course. We played it a million times already. Now once again, the whole thing, 5, flat 5, 5, flat 6, 5, E. which then pushes into a G to start off the entire chorus section, which is the back to the front Disposable Heroes hook. This chorus section harkens back to the wah lead that Kirk played earlier, this one. But this time we flip the script and have our pal James join in on the fun. Like we saw on that first chord, we still go to a G power chord, but this time lower, 3rd fret of the E string. And then go to the 1st fret of the A string, 2nd fret of the E string, open A, 1st fret of the E, G, and then we push back into it. So that's G, A sharp, F sharp, A, F, G, bum, ba, da, bum, 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 bum. Now there's a reason why I'm calling it an A sharp instead of a B flat. The A sharp reminds me of a major 3rd, okay? So why on earth would I call it a B flat if we're coming down to an F sharp? An F sharp major chord has an F sharp and an A sharp, not an F sharp and a B flat, you silly goose. Are you crazy? Why would we call it a B flat? And get that spatula out of your ass. You don't know where that spatula's been. Now the very last time we have a little bit of a rhythmic difference, okay? We have to do a hard stop, just kind of like I just did there. So we have this. Here's the change. 2, 3, 4, and 2, boom. So we have a measure of 2 that we have to adhere to. Total silence before the start of verse 2. At this point, our hot-headed psychopathic leader guy has been red in the face telling us how much he wants us to die. So that measure of 2-4, that silence right there, is very much welcome after all that noise we've been hearing prior. Now, verse 2 comes back in, and the guitar is exactly the same. But there's this cool little drum move that Lars Ulrich does on the drums. Check this out. Those 4 quarter note chokes on the crash cymbal really serve to drive that rhythm into our skull, just like a bayonet during the American Civil War. Pre-chorus 2 is also exactly the same as pre-chorus 1, so I'm going to take this time to explain what's happening with the vocal melody. The first 2 lines start off on the root note C sharp like this. Soldier boy, made of clay, now an empty shell. That shell note goes up a whole step while the chord goes down a whole step. So that's some contrary motion between the melody and the harmony. So that's pretty cool. And that note is a D sharp on top of the B. Alright, so it just creates a B major chord. So simple. Now for the second line, the exact same thing. 21, only son, but he served us well. Going up to that major 3rd on the chord. Pretty awesome. The third line moves up. He's actually singing the major 3rd on top of the C sharp chord. Bred to kill, not to care, do just as we say. We have more contrary motion, but this time it's more spread out. We have the major 3rd on the C sharp, going to the perfect 5th on the B. The final line starts off on the perfect 5th of the C sharp, which is a very high note to sing, by the way. Finished here, greeting death. He's yours to take away. And that's just moving in parallel motion with the chord. So that's actually the simplest line of the whole thing. So let's get that whole thing, and this time pay close attention to the motion of the notes on top of the chords. Here we go. Ready? Soldier boy, made of clay, now an empty shell. 21, only son, but he served us well. Bred to kill, not to care, do just as we say. Finished here, greeting death, he's yours to take away. What a lovely pre-chorus section. Now moving right along, we hit chorus 2, which is exactly the same as chorus 1 except for the very ending. I'll play it from the beginning and show you what happens at the end. Here we go. We'll pretend this is the last time. That's right, your eyes do not deceive you. That is a measure of 7/8 in a Metallica song. A measure of 7/8 followed by 2/4. This is very similar to what happens after chorus 1, except we're not in 4. We're in a strict 7. And it's also followed by another measure of 7 as soon as we get that 2/4 break. So that to me is genuinely shocking. I was shocked to see this. But The fact that it's so natural feeling, so natural sounding, and we've also heard it a million times throughout the course of the verses and into the choruses. We've heard it a million times, so it doesn't feel odd, now does it? It only starts to feel odd when we play it over and over again as a loop. Let me demonstrate that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is starting to sound more like a Dream Theater song than a Metallica song. I don't like it. Now, as much as I like to relish in the fact that we've played 2 7/8 measures in a Metallica song, our crazed general will not let us take a break. We must go down into the barracks and head to the bridge. This bridge riff is relatively simple, but it still requires dead-on accuracy from that right hand. After that 7/8 measure, we come right in on an open E power chord with some pull-offs on the low E string, but extended from the original shape. So it goes like this, ready? E, A, G, and you want to chop up the rhythm. The articulation is actually just like that. Bum, a dunna, a three, a boy, a bum, ba badum, ba dadum, ba dad, bum, bum. And you want to make sure that you hit that accent on that last 4. Check this out. Bum, bum. See that? Right on it. Hard down. And that's just going between A, G, F sharp to E. That's all 1, 4, flat 3, 2, boom. Now this riff continues with some slight rhythmic changes during the guitar solo. So this only happens underneath the lead part coming up. So check this out. Ready? It goes like this. It's basically the same exact thing that we were just doing, but we're adding an extra 8th note in between. Instead of there just being 1, we have 2. We're riding it a little bit harder this time around. We also have to put in that same exact accent on that hard downbeat open E like this. Not the first time, the second time. We go on to do that entire thing 8 times essentially. Now there are some other unique solo rhythms that happen after that as well, but I'm not going to get there until we get to that part of the solo. Here's the first half of the Disposable Heroes guitar solo. Enjoy. We have a lot of notes to get through, so I'm going to separate this into 4 separate licks as the first half of the guitar solo. Here's lick number 1. So that lick starts off on a double stop bend. Okay, a double stop is when you play 2 notes at the same time on a guitar in harmony. You're at the 14th fret of the G and the 15th of the B string. You use your middle and your ring, just like that. You're going to keep the 15th fret static, so that ring finger is going to remain there. And then the middle finger is going to bend in that rhythm. Okay, ba 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 ram. Then we follow that with a quick pull-off from the 14th to the 12th, like this. Dipping down to the 14th to the D, back up. Doing that little Chuck Berry thing going up the top, so bending 14, keeping the pointer finger barred on the 12th of the B and the E. That's followed immediately by another 15-12 pull-off going to the 14th of the G. Back up the 12-12 to the high E string, and then into this series of arpeggios. That's kind of like a Jimmy Page inspired lick. We're going from the F sharp, coming into E to B. That's almost like an E minor 9th. The F sharp is the 9th of the E minor. And then to this. This is just a straight up E minor arpeggio because of the G on top. And then we do that little bendy bend on the 15th fret of the B, but we're going to keep the first finger up here static on the 12th fret. And give it a nice little vibrato before we move on. Here's that lick slow. Lick number 2 comes way up the neck and deals exclusively with the 19th and the 22nd frets of the E and the B string, like this. So a lot of bends and a lot of dealing with those frets. We're starting off on the 19th fret of the high E string and bending hard on the 22nd fret like this. So when you hit that bend, you basically want to pick once, then pick twice, and then do a double bend on that last one. Plenty of vibrato on it. And then we do a double pull off like this. Coming down into the B string. Alright, and then bending on that note, and then quickly grabbing the 19th fret again on the E string. So, and make sure you hit that at the end there. We then hit a bit of a repetitive section between a 22nd and 19th fret pull off on the B string. So, bend, hit, bend, hit, bend, hit, bend, hit, bend, and then cut off that last one. Now let's dig into that a little bit. So you want to do a pull off into a pick, 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 pull off pick, 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 pick. And that's the articulation that you want to use for that. Now, this is primarily in a B minor pentatonic scale pattern. Now, I thought we were in the key of E minor. The thing is, this creates some more colorful tones. You can still play a B minor pentatonic on top of an E minor, but like I said, we're creating colorful notes. A 9th and an 11th. So we're creating a 9/11 with this whole thing. Don't say 9/11 on YouTube, not a good thing. And just to give you an idea of how jazzy that 9/11 actually is, I'm going to play it on top of an E minor. Check this out. That's incredibly jazzy when you play it in that context. Let's get that second lick slow. Lick number 3 comes all the way from the 19th fret of the high E string down to the 7th fret of the high E string. So a full octave in triplets on one string. Now there's a lot of alternate picking and a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs, so check this out. Ready? Alright, so let's take that from the beginning. We start on the 19th, 20th, and 22nd like this, alright? So this is an E natural minor scale that we're playing down, like this. All alternate picking on those first 4 notes. And then we do this. Pull, slide, pull, slide. And you want to pick in between those. So, and the best way to do that is to do a down pick on the pull and an up pick on the slide, and do the same thing twice. So, you see how that goes? Repeat the same process on the 14th, 15th, and 17th, coming down the scale with these shapes. And yes, we have to follow that pattern. All those whole steps actually exist in the E natural minor scale. If you notice, we're hitting every note natural except for an F sharp, which is the E minor scale. The last set starts on the 8th fret and goes like this. 8, 10, 12, back down, with a pull off on the 8th to the 7th, and then this. Now those we have to pick all of, otherwise we're never going to make it through. And we cap it off with this tapping lick, which is the 12th fret, tap, the 10th fret with the ring finger, and the pointer finger on the 7th. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You got to try and get 8 full patterns out of that little bit. So let's go all the way through that slow. Pretty cool. This entire lick features 2 harmony guitars that come in on different times as it progresses. Check this out. This is what we'd call the row, row, row your boat method. Now I can't believe I'm saying this, but Kirk Hammett is utilizing the power of the cannon, a true weapon of war. The second guitar comes in when the first guitar reaches its second phrase. So when the first guitar is at the 14th fret like this, the other guitar is playing up here on the 19th fret, the starting point of the first guitar, okay? And then it continues on to finish. just like that. So, and then it cuts off immediately to give room for the tapping in the lead guitar. The third guitar comes in when the second guitar reaches its second phrase, and the first guitar reaches its third. Alright, so we have to wait a little while for this one to come in. So, and that's all you're playing. You just play that one. So like I said, this is like row, row, row your boat. You know, everybody joins in to sing along. It goes row, row, row your boat, and then row, row, row your boat, and then row, row, row your stupid boat into a canal. Lick number 4 comes back into the B minor pentatonic position, but down here at the 7th fret. And it starts off with this nice 9th fret bend that's bent into oblivion. Check this out. We're going to use our right hand quite a few times. 9 to be exact. Ready? Pretty cool sounding, right? Now all that we're doing is we're starting at the 9th fret of the G, and we're going to bend very gradually into F sharp. How many times was that? That was 9 times. So you got to make sure you do that. 50 Cent was shot 9 times, so we got to honor him in this guitar solo. Ready? Watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Release. And then we leave a little bit of space, but not too much. We come here. That's 7 and 9. Then we do one of those. Bend and release from the 9th, pull into the 7th, and then hit the 9th of the D string. So that's the root note B, which is actually the 5th of the E, because we're in E, not in B. We got to remember that. We have a 9th and 11th going on here too. So, just like that. Then we come back up, we hit another fast blip, and we come down that way from the 9th, 7th, 9th, 7th. So, that continues down the blues scale. So now we're getting chromatic. So that's 9th, 8th, 7th, 5th, and the 7th. Now what's interesting about this is that it's landing on the root eventually, but it doesn't sound like the root because it sounds like we're playing on top of a B minor, which we're actually not, but the scale is B minor. So, listen. It doesn't sound final to me. That would sound final to me, or any note that outlines a B chord or some kind of B minor triad would sound like that, but not the E. The E sounds like an 11th, which is kind of crazy because we're actually playing the root. Some really strange sorcery going on with this song. Here's that lick slow. Ready? Little vibrato at the end too. Alright, now with all that out of the way, we can get to the second half of the solo where things become mighty interesting. Check it out. The first major change of that solo is in the rhythm guitar, so let's get that out of the way first. Here's the whole first part. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. It comes back again to repeat. Alright, so all that's happening here is we're hitting a C chord with a flat 6, going up to D, the flat 7, back down to C, and then C, B, and that's a big 3-2-1 at the end. Once those long chords go around twice, we hit into this variation on the C. So we're still C Lydian here. Watch this. So that's pretty cool. I mean, that's a big stretch going on there. You have to slide into the 8th fret of the low E with your middle finger. That one. Like this. Do a little couple palm mutes there, and then you have to stretch your pinky all the way up to the 12th fret down to the pointer finger on the 7th. Watch. And you got to get that clean too. Super clean James Hetfield left hand. Ready? And right hand as well. Then we do this. We come right down the C Lydian mode. Alright? Starting on an A. which is the 6, to the G, which is the 5th, to the F sharp 9th fret, which is the Lydian mode proper. Alright, that is the sharp 4th, there's no doubt about it. Watch, I'll play it again, slow. F sharp. Now the interesting part about this is that the second time we hit that accent, I'm not sure if this was accidental, but it goes like that, an accidental accent. Would you look at that? He actually hits an E power chord on top of that. Now, that creates a C major 7. Maybe he meant to play it like this, and then go into it. But instead, it just plays the top half. So I found that interesting. But the second time, it plays this, a major 3rd. So this makes me think that that was supposed to be part of the same thing, but it might have been a mistake. Who knows? Or it was totally calculated and James Hetfield is a genius. I'm starting to think that might be it, actually. Okay, now let's get back into the lead guitar. The first lick defies everything that I was just talking about, because instead of playing a major arpeggio, the Lydian mode is a major mode, Kirk comes in and plays a C minor arpeggio. Watch this. Followed by some other stuff within C minor as well. So he's playing realistically a C minor chord there instead, which is incredibly strange, because it's definitively an E minor rhythm, but the quality is changing so greatly with that C minor. Kind of cool, so I'm going to have to retract everything I said about this being in the Lydian mode. Thanks, Metallica, you're screwing up my analysis. Now stop doing that. Anyway, here's the positions. We start with this arpeggio shape that pulls off from 15 to 11 like this, pinky pointer. Then we bring our ring finger in to the 13th fret for the B string. Middle finger on the 12th, coming down with the ring here again for the 13th. Slide down to the 12th. And then slide again to here. So now we're in this position. And sliding up those notes. So let's get that slow again. So really cool phrasing. And you got to make sure you're dipping down with those proper fingers. Once we're in this position, we slide to the ring finger and we go like this. Basically in a C minor pentatonic at that point, doing pretty much a stereotypical idea there, but it's not stereotypical because it's not supposed to actually be minor. After we hold out that B flat, which is the flatted 7th, so we can call this a C minor 7th chord, Kirk continues to defy the logic of the Lydian mode. With this lick right here, we're doing tremolo picking up the scale like this, 13, 15, 16, 18, and then 12, 14, 13, 15. Alright, so really cool sound, but he adds another note of curiosity in there. So we're going up 1, 2, flat 3, 4 of the C minor, and then we're coming down 5, natural 6. This almost sounds like a melodic minor idea. Alright, the melodic minor is when we have a natural 6 and a natural 7th on the way up. Then on the way down it's flatted, but here we're just going like this. And we're skipping over the 7th entirely. So we're just going 5, 6, 1, 2 to lead into the next lick, which goes like this. So a nice set of arpeggiated notes there. We're playing basically a 2-string arpeggio with pull-offs using the pinky and the pointer, like this. 17, 12, 12. And the way you want to pick that is like this. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Like you're skipping a rock on the ocean water. And then we just come down a half step like this. Alright, and we boost the frequency as we go later on. We start by playing it 4 times and then we go twice. A very cool resolution, and it's actually a perfectly executed resolution because it's an E sus4 arpeggio. This is B, E, A, or 5th root 4th. That's a sus4 resolving to the major 3rd. That's just an E major arpeggio right there, which, by the way, also defies the logic of the solo. If you remember what James is playing on the bottom, he's playing a G natural. And E major has a G sharp, not a G natural. Alright, so we're continuing to defy the laws of nature here, but it sounds great. I don't know what to tell you. I guess a G sharp being in this higher octave just sounds nice over a G natural down in this octave. Imagine if James Hetfield played it like this. I'd probably turn the record off. That just sounds stupid. So let me get that E sus4 to E major slow for you. That lick is immediately followed by a pentatonic style lick in the key of E minor on top of the C. So this is far more indicative of Lydian. We're actually coming back to normalcy here, so thanks Kirk. Starts over at the 15th fret being bent. 2 bends. Very nice. Epic. You need a fan blowing through your hair that whole time, or stand on the top of a mountain with a big breeze going. You're gonna love that. Then we do a pull off from 15 to 12, and then we do this. 3 picks in a row. You want to make sure you pick the 12, 15, 12, coming back into that second bend. So, boom. See all those picks in there? Then we got to do another pull off from 15 to 12 down to that. But this time we just come up to the 12th fret of the B after hitting the 14th. Come up here. Nice 15th fret bend at the top, nice and high. Then we come down like this. And that picks up. That's a pull off, picking into that pentatonic lick ending at the 14th fret bend. Very, very nice. Outlines the C perfectly. It's like a C major 7 almost. Let me play that slowly for you. Little vibrato on that last one as well. Right after that bend, we have to slide all the way down to the lower part of the guitar, the 4th fret of the D string to be exact. And we're coming up this huge lick that scales all the way up to the 16th fret of the D string, eventually ending all the way at the 17th fret of the high E. So that goes like this. So a lot of stuff going on there, so let's break it down bit by bit. We're basically coming up the, I wouldn't say a D Mixolydian scale, but it kind of is because the D is always on the bottom. So it's a pedal D rolling through this whole thing, but we're going like this. 4-2 open, 5-4 open, 7-5. You skip the open on that one. That's very important. Let me do that. Because then you slide right up to the next position. 9-7 open, 10-9 open, 12-10. Alright, so it's pretty much every third one you do, you got to shift right over and skip. So all of that so far. Okay, then we do the same deal like this, but this time we're done skipping the open strings because we got to climb all the way up to that 17th fret from here. So we go like this. So we have some notes in there that don't really add up entirely, but it sounds cool when you play it fast. We're going on the 14th fret to 12th, open, then 16, 14, open, 16, 14 on the G, open. Okay, that sounds kind of goofy when you do it slow, but then we do this for the ending. That's 17, 15, 14 on the B, and then sliding 17th on the E. And a hard slide coming down as well. Let me do that whole thing slow. Skip. Now note-wise, all of those are in the key of E minor except for the 14th fret on the B string. That is the Dorian mode because that's a C sharp, that's a natural 6. So we have a flat 6 on the way up, and a natural 6 even further on the way up. So that's kind of crazy. A little mode mixture there from Kirk. The next bit is more of a simple melodic section which plays perfectly along with that C Lydian I've been talking about. The lick goes like this. So everything is hinging on the 12th fret of the G string, alright? That's the perfect 5th of the C major chord, okay? So everything is hinging on that. And we basically slide into it like this. And then we want to do 2 picks afterwards. So bum, ba, ba, bum, bum. So we're alternating between the different notes on the top, the melodic notes that move, and that note on the bottom, the perfect 5th. This one here is the root. Coming up next is the 15th fret. That's the 2nd. And this is the 3rd. Alright, C, D, E. So simple, so very nice. It sounds really, really, really beautiful, I have to say. But all it is Mary Had a Little Lamb. You always remember where your Mary Had a Little Lamb notes are whenever you're in any given progression, okay? So on the C, we have 1, 2, and 3. Just play with this rhythm. And basically those accents are hitting on James's rhythm. Perfect complement. And then we hit a big old beefy bend on the top there. Now that big old beefy bend from Uncle Ben's Rice Garage, well, we actually don't have Uncle Ben anymore. We're not allowed to have nice things, but we're going into a pentatonic lick, okay? And we're basically coming back into like the most stereotypical Kirk lick you can imagine. But because the rest of all this is so interesting, I don't mind it. So like I said, just a lot of pentatonic stuff at the 12th fret position, E minor. So right on that bend we're going da-da. Nice pull off from 15 to 12, then stereotypical. And then we do that again here on the B string. Just coming down to the 12th of the G. And then we do this. This part is a little bit different because we have to go all the way down. That's right, we got to pick all those too. Pull off, pick, 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 pick. And then we do this. So more of the same. Pretty cool. Then we come back up to the peak again and we go like this. We come down all 3 notes on those same 3 strings. And then here, we give that a little break. A nice fast little bending resolve from 14th, 12th, and 14th to the D. Alright, just strictly pentatonic, nothing crazy going on here. Let me just play that slowly for you one more time. And you want to slide out of it as well, which then makes way for the return of this. So we play this one more time. And we do it exactly the same way as well. So there's no variation here, which is actually nice and refreshing. It's a nice little melodic bit. It gives us a break from all the busy sections, and it comes back again. So that's perfect songwriting on Kirk's part. Well, who knows, maybe James came up with this. We don't know for sure. But we play the exact same thing. Big difference is there's a lower harmony that comes in underneath. Check out how it sounds. All that harmony is doing is sliding into the 9th fret, which is the major third of the C chord, okay? So we're harmonizing with the G on an E, all right? Then we're going up like this to an A. Now that's pretty interesting. That's turning this into a C6 chord, but it harmonizes nicely with the root note because it's just a minor third. So thirds all the way here. Then we got like this. We go up to the 12th fret. That's a major 7 on the C, which harmonizes beautifully with the D up top. So this actually creates a C major 9. Then the last one goes like this. So that's just going up to a G, which harmonizes with the E. That's a 6, the major 6. So and right on that last one we have to cut out immediately to give way for that big beefy bend up top. That big beefy bend reminds me of Ben, Uncle Ben, who I have extreme nostalgia for. I miss his face on the box. I don't know why they fired him. They fired him, that's what they did. That's all these people are doing, are firing people. Unbelievable. Well anyway, here's the final lick of the Disposable Heroes guitar solo, the grand finale. It goes like this. So we do that big beefy bend up top like this, just like the other part. So this is the exact same articulation basically, and we fire right into an E minor pentatonic scale like this. But pretty much the stereotypical version once again. Nothing crazy. Pull off, pick, pick, pull off. Pull off, pick, pick, pull off. So if you just go right with that, you're going to be fine. you're dispersing, alternate picking in between some pull-offs, all right? Now this next part is far more legato. We have to do 2 pull-offs in a row, 17, 15, 14. And then we do another pull-off from the 15th, pick, pick, and then we gotta pull off again until we're finally down at the 14th fret of the B string. Now this is the Dorian mode once again. Look. Pay attention, very special attention to those pull-offs. I'll do that really slow. Watch. Pull off, pull, pull off, pick, pick, pull off, pull off, pull. A lot of legato stuff happening here. That continues up the E minor scale, this time coming back into something that's a little more ambiguous, but still E minor. 19, 17, 15. 19, 17, 15 on both of those. Triplets as well, okay? And this is totally legato, except for the 2 picks, but you're picking once on the E and once on the B. Sounds pretty awesome, but you're only doing it once. And then we got to move on to this. Look, 21st fret, 19th, 17th. Now we're getting Dorian again. Until we hit this. That's E major. So now all of a sudden we got the major 6 on top of the major chord. What's going on here? We're going back into E major again. But it sounds fine because the notes are moving so quickly. Once again, it's the same deal. The same shape, just shifted up a whole step. And pick, pick. 2 legato little things going on like that. All pull-offs. We end this off with one more coming all the way up to the 22nd fret now, okay? So we're going 22, 21, 19, 22, 21, 19, like that. And you gotta really cramp your fingers in there because these frets are really tiny way up top here. Now this is more of an E mixolydian because we have the flat 7 up top. But still major, so this is very odd, incredibly odd type of note choices, but I kind of like it. And then of course we gotta hit the final bend. Nice triple bend at the end, we slide out of it, have plenty of delay added to the top, and let me play that whole thing slow again, ready? An absolute monster of guitar solo from General Kirk. Now I'm starting to think Kirk is the crazy guy from the chorus that keeps telling us to do all those wacky things like dying. We gotta die for Kirk. Well, that's kind of how it is right now. So let's keep moving so I don't have to go back to Kirk's front, if you know what I'm talking about. Not good. The section immediately following the solo is the same as the section that precedes it, alright? So it's that same riff on the E like this. Accent at the end, but the ending is slightly different, so I'm just going to play that for you. Ready? The accent, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, boom! That's right, we hit a measure of 7, 8 once again right there. That hard stop being the downbeat, alright? So we're cutting off a beat of 4 so that we can have a measure of 7, 8. Another prog rock moment in the books here for the Metallica boys. Pretty damn awesome if I must say so myself. Now, that hard stop gives way for James's vocal solo with this line. I was born for dying! We were born to die indeed. And that is followed by this little build on a G power chord that goes like this. Now that's pretty much the first time we've ever had where we're riding on the G for that long. So let's savor the flavor while we're here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And we only have 2 measures of 1/8 notes to do that with before we head right back into this thrash riff that we heard earlier. Right back in the C sharp. 6 times. Ready? 2 more. 6 and that's all the same, which then comes into verse 3, which is the same as verse 2. Okay, we don't have that long setup like in the first verse. And then pre-chorus 2 is exactly the same until we hit the very ending. Remember this chord transition that we hit twice throughout the song so far? Well, this being the 3rd time, we have to change it up a little bit. We're adding some extra chords ascending back up to the E root. So check this out. We have a B, going to B flat, back up to B, just like before, C, B, that's all the same. Mute, 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 unmute, and then we got to go up a little bit higher. But in between, make sure you hit this little A open mute there, that little dinky boy. And we hit the dinky boy like this: C, B, C, D, D sharp, E. All right, so we're moving all the way up from this one, 5, 6, 7. A nice chromatic power chord motion to get back into the root note. Flat 6, 5, flat 6, flat 7, natural 7th, boom, to the 1. And that comes right back into the riff like this. Familiarity. Boom. Pretty cool. That's all the same. Chorus 3 is completely the same. But we hit a repeat where some added layered guitars come in over the top. So check this out right after that chorus 3 plays through once. It's the same exact motion we've been hearing from the power chords in the chorus for the entire song. Now we're just up an octave higher, just playing single notes like this. 10th fret of the A, 13th, 9th, 12th, 8th, 10th, and then holding on the 7th for the end with a brief pause before we return and do it again. That follows exactly along with the root notes, right? That's joined in by a second guitar that we heard as well, up yet another octave. So here we're at the 12th fret of the G like this. 15, 11, 14, 10, 12, 9. All the same notes to come into repeat again. Back to Kirk's Front. That repeats 2 times with just those guitars, so there's 3 guitars total. The power chords, the octave, and then the octave. And then this little bendy boy comes in on top of all of that. So we're going to have 4 guitars in this section by the time we're done. Those are a set of unison bends across the G and the B string, a minor third above the initial harmony, so a very diminished sound to this. Start with our pointer finger at the 11th fret of the B string while bending the 13th fret with our ring like this. Get all 3 fingers in there too. A gradual release at the end as well. This moves down a half step to follow the harmony. Nice gradual down, and then another half step. And then a hard cut out at the end. Let's do that one more time. Back to Kirk's Front with Lars in the front as well, or maybe Lars in the back. Those one more time. Jason's not in the band. Now we finally get to the outro section where we play some familiar riffs, but with some unique variations. But before we get into that, we have to play another 7/8 measure coming out of that second chorus. The whole repeat with those 4 guitars, that has a 7/8 measure going right into the C sharp again. Watch this, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right into the thrash. We don't have a single break. But we do have that unique variation. So take a listen to this. The main difference here is that we're halving the amount of times we play this riff normally. Typically we go 6 times, now we're just going 3 right into that little A thing, but that's also cut in half. We don't have those triplet notes afterwards, so we go like this. 1, 2, 3, A. And you only hit the first part. We go on to repeat that. 2, 3. Up a half step. Back down. So that's pretty interesting. We go up a half step to D, but we still do a D Phrygian. Alright, so we're doing the same old pull off just on the 5th and the 7th fret. 3 times. And then we play the same exact riff too. The thing is, it works out perfectly though, because a lot of these notes do work well with both C sharp and the D. Alright, so this is basically like playing a D sus4 on top. very nice and consonant, almost like happy sounding when you play it like that. But it does come out of that D. Then we come back one more time for the C sharp. 2, 3, lick. And this is where we go a little crazy on the C sharp chord, but there is a little bit of a difference with those palm muted power chords that go through the triplets. Check this out. Triplet, triplet. We mute every single one of them instead of how we usually do it, which is an unmuted B at the end. Typically we go like this. But this time we're going right into C sharp, which is definitely not muted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And we hold it out for a little while. Now on that last C sharp, Lars goes absolutely apeshit on this drum fill. Check this out, the isolated drums. Ruh-roh, Ruby, I think a tornado's about to come and kill our entire family. Ha 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 ha. Let's move on. Now that's not even the end of the song. We have to hold that out for a little bit, but we still have to talk about it beforehand. Every single time we hit that, Cliff is doing something very curious. Cliff is a bass player, correct? But he's doing moves that remind me of another orchestral instrument with a big old belly. Listen to this. That's right, Cliff is going between the root, the fifth, the root, the fifth, and back to the root. That's something that a timpani player would do ordinarily in the grand finale of some classical piece. I think, Cliff Burton belongs in Carnegie Hall at this point. He should be on the wall in Carnegie Hall, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's all that's happening. On top of that, C sharp sounds like this. And it just makes that C sharp a little more interesting so that we don't get bored of hearing it, because they do play it a lot, let's face it. And that's not the end of the song. We still have one more part to the outro left to go, so let's listen to that real quick. So it all sounds very similar, except we have an added harmony on top of the final lick, which is altered slightly as well. So let me play the C sharp first. 1, 2, 3, and then we go into this. So we added an extra pull-off after the initial one. Pull-off, bum, bum, a really fast one too. 16th notes added into the mix, but all the same articulation otherwise. The harmony comes in a third higher than that, but still with the open A mutes in between. So that's at the 9th and the 7th fret up on the D string, okay? So, and all the chords remain the same at the end as well. And we end on a C sharp to bring us the finale. Alright everybody, that does it for episode number 5 of the Let's Learn Master of Puppets guitar series. Hopefully this was very helpful to you. I know that it was very helpful to me learning all of Kirk's idiosyncrasies and whatnot. All those crazy modes really blew my mind, let me tell you. If you'd like to further support this channel, this endeavor, go to www.subscribestar.com/romanovamusic and you can pledge whatever dollar amount per month that you wish. I have some tiers, alright? Not tears like crying, but payment tiers. If you pay $20 a month, you get access to my RomanOva Guitar Gym video series. So sharpen up your skills with some great exercises, some theory stuff. We go in depth with all sorts of things. It's like a grab bag of musical intuition. You got to make sure you sign up for that. You could also leave a tip on my PayPal tip jar if you wish. You can also support by going to my website. I have original music that I write, and well, obviously I write it, it's original music, and I have that up for sale, so please consider buying an album from one of my bands. I have them all listed there. You can listen to samples. There's also some stuff floating around, Spotify, YouTube, blah, 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 all that good stuff. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well if you like what you're seeing. If you can't, have any dollar amount, then that's perfectly okay as well. The likes, comments, and subscriptions are valid and pretty darn cool as well. I also give lessons privately, so you can sign up for those through my website. Just click the big red button and you can get in contact directly with me. I think that's about it, everybody. I'll see you on the next one, episode 6. Something of a David Bowie reference, if I'm not mistaken. I'll see you there.